your transmission not shifting, not going into gear. Let's see what it takes to change out a transmission on a Chevrolet C50 dump truck. So now, unfortunately, we have a bad backup gear in the transmission, or reverse gear. So we'll be actually taking out the transmission. So getting ready to take out the drive shaft, got everything set up. So we're gonna be removing everything. So got it jacked up and off the ground. And like I said, we got a broken tooth on the backup gear. So ran as much dirt as we possibly could until we emptied the slot or the location. And now we're getting ready to remove the transmission to have it serviced. So first thing we'll do is get the drive shaft out, and we'll come back here and unbolt the drive shaft, pull it back, and we'll take everything out, and we'll get the guide gear out, and we probably end up changing that bearing because the rubber looks bad. We'll check the universal joints, get the PTO shaft, get it disconnected and taken out, and probably, since the PTO gearbox looks as if it's leaking, may get it serviced. And like I said, get everything disconnected and pulled out, and probably good to have it serviced anyway because the transmission looks as if it's leaking. So that's what's up for the red dump truck, for the big red. Let's get all this taken out. We got the transmission out, and gonna get it cleaned up and take it up to the shop to get it rebuilt. And in the meantime, we'll probably go through what it all took to get it out. But like I said, we got everything pulled out of here, so let's get it cleaned up and go from there. Got it cleaned up, loaded up, and ready to go. So let's get this to the shop, and we'll come back and work on everything underneath the truck.
You want to take pictures of it?
I did.
Oh, you did?
Yep. Yep, good to go.
You gonna put it on your YouTube channel when you're putting it in?
Yeah.
So today we're gonna be putting the transmission back in the truck. So here's the finished transmission, rebuilt. And that's the PTO shaft on this side. We got the transmission brake mount there. Got it installed. Got the transmission jack. So we'll do everything in reverse order. And that's basically where we'll be getting everything mounted and set up. Put the drive shaft back in and go from there. So that's the project we got to get the transmission back in, along with help from Blue. So the next thing we want to do is put in our throwout bearing, and we're gonna try to line it up without taking the clutch spring and shaft loose. Which may be a challenge, but gonna see if we can get it. If not, we'll disconnect the spring and the pedal. So next, let's see if we can get the transmission pushed up to it and jacked up, and see if we can get it up high enough. Need to make adjustment on the transmission and slide it forward. So got it pretty much lined up, but need to slide the transmission forward on the jack. I don't know if you can see that, but then we should be pretty much lined up. So let me get that adjusted, and if we can get Blue to leave us alone, it may be okay. So we got the transmission jacked up and pushed forward, and got the bolts in. And if you can see, the first bolt, or the top bolt, is there, which you can get to from this side. The next bolt, which is the bottom one there, mounts through the bell housing from the opposite side. So you have 4 bolts And now if I can show you the other one on this side. It's there, and it's going to take a hand wrench to get in there, and that one mounts from this side. So those are the two top, and the bottom one mounts through the bell housing. I'll show you that on the opposite side. So the transmission is mounted. So next will be to put on the brake, the parking brake. And from the front, if you can see right behind the flywheel, there is a bolt there that mounts through the bell housing for the transmission. And the other one is right there. So you got two bolts at the bottom that go through the bell housing on both sides. So those are the 4 bolts that hold the transmission in place. Once you got everything tightened up, you can let your transmission jack out the way. And it's a pretty simple operation, just like a regular jack. That's the hardest part, getting the transmission mounted. So if you're doing it by yourself, you definitely need the transmission jack and patience. One reason you can't get a lot of work done. He always wants to help. So got the transmission hand brake mount put in, and that's it there. So there's 3 bolts that mount to the housing, and then a bolt at top that catches the bracket, and then you just adjust it to how you want it to sit up in the cab. So the next thing, to put in our transmission handbrake, and it just has the 4 bolts that go there and slides over the shaft. So basically it will go here, and then all bolts go. Bolts for it. And next would be the drum. we'll do the adjustment here to get the brake shoes adjusted right. But it will slide on the same. Then we'll come back and get it lined up. But I'm gonna take it off and adjust our shoes to get it a little tighter. Sliding on. And the way you do that is you just turn this wheel out and expand the brakes. So the drum is mounted. That's the center bolt. And right now we got the brake on, so it's not moving. The handbrake is locked. Transmission brake. So next thing is mount the drive shaft, the half shaft, and back to the drive shaft there, and then come back and mount the PTO shaft there and to there. Got the drive shaft and half shaft mounted. And one thing you want to remember when you take out your drive shaft from any vehicle is to always mark it so you can put it back for balance purposes. What I did is, if you can see, I sprayed that one and that one, and then if you can see up in the front, just mark that one, so that way you know everything lines up the way you took it out. So next, the PTO shaft and lever, we'll get that lined up from there. Back to here. Got the PTO shaft mounted and the lever, so it's mounted. It has a set screw and a cotter key that's actually in the end, and then here this cotter key was welded in, so it's not going anywhere. But back here, this one that came out and was missing, so I'll just put an Allen key in there, and I'll just slide this band up to keep it from sliding back. It's just for the PTO shaft, it's not constantly turning. And it's mounted back there to this pin, and it's good to go. So the next thing to do, get everything tightened up and add the fluid. And the easiest way to add the fluid is to do it from the top and just have someone at the bottom to remove that drain screw and wait till it starts to run out, or put a pan down until you hear it runs out. So from the top, show you what's got to be done. So this is what we have from the inside. This is the brake that's activated, and that's disengaged, and we'll fill the fluid up from here. And this is our shifter, and I'll show you how to mount that once we get it. And that was the original problem. Someone had thought the pins tap out, but they do not tap out. This mounts, slides down, and then it locks around the pin. So someone had actually broken off the pin, which didn't allow the shifter to engage all the way down into the gear, which ended up breaking the reverse gear. So we'll get it filled up, get this installed, and do a test drive. So the fluid we're going to be using, the gear oil, is going to be the Valvoline 80-90 weight gear oil, and we're going to fill it from the top, which is your easiest bet. And I have the drain plug loose, and we'll fill it, go down and check the drain plug, make sure your vehicle is level, and go from there. Make it easier with a funnel. And if you overfill it, you can just let your drain plug drain it back down to the correct level. But this should not overfill it. So we'll go down, check the drain plug. That's 1 gallon. So don't know the capacity, but it's not coming out yet. So let's go with another, start with another gallon. Go check. So the way to install the shifter, you have your 2 pins here, and on your shifter you have 2 slots on both sides, either side. So you're gonna just take that and line it up with your pins. Until it drops in, and then from there, you just move that the way. You have this collar, and you can see it. It's made to go around the pins and then to turn and lock in. So basically, you would slide it in. I'm gonna have to tap it in, and then you're gonna push it down and turn to lock it. So here you're gonna push it down and just turn it to lock it, and that's how you remove the shaft. And the pins stay in place so you don't beat them out. So that was the first part of our problem. Somebody had cracked it trying to get the pins out. So it's that simple as far as putting it in. So now everything is installed. So let's get it jacked down, crank up, and see what we got. Let's crank it up to see what we got. shaft works. parts from the transmission that was rebuilt. So most of everything was good. So here where we ran into the problems at. So if you can see, the teeth are chewed. So that was my reverse gear. So every other gear was fine, but when it came into going in reverse, you're missing all the teeth here. So that was the main issue. First, second, and third worked fine. And if you can see on this gear, It's here where it starts to wear down. So that was another gear. And then on this one, if you can see here, all the teeth there are pretty much gone. So that was our issue for reverse. Like I said, all the other gear going forward was fine. Just the main thing was the reverse gear. But the transmission now is nice and quiet, runs good, and they didn't only change what was bad, they changed every ring, every bearing that was in the transmission. So they replaced all the gears that was in the transmission. So thanks to Precision Gear, we got it up and running. So that's how you change out a transmission in a Chevrolet C50 dump truck. In my case, yours may be a flatbed. So the hardest thing about this job, make sure you got a good transmission jack, because the transmission weighs approximately 200 pounds. The fluid we used was 80-90, and it took about a gallon and a half. And other than that, everything went in pretty smooth. Make sure your drive shaft, you line it up. So if you got any questions, just put it in the comment section. And don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe and hit the notification for more upcoming videos. Until next time, we'll talk to you later.
Yeah.